Katie Tyler with you, and it is time for Ask the Experts. So, at this time, every day on the show, we hear from people who know their trade or their area of expertise inside out. The idea is that we'll learn something new and potentially do some myth busting along the way as well. And today, we're speaking to Eileen Webb, a licensed psychologist. She's also the author of Perfectly Imperfect, Cultivating Your Self-Worth in a Demanding World. And Eileen has deep knowledge in the psychology surrounding perfectionism. And that is what we're going to be talking about today. Hi, Eileen.
Hello, Katie. Hello, and thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us. What makes someone a perfectionist then?
It can come from our childhood. It is all about the expectations from ourselves, but not just expectations, incredibly high expectations, or from others, or what we think that others are expecting of us. And we might have learned that from our parents. We might have learned that from school, because we get praised when we do something good, and we get punished when things are not so good. So we start learning that we have to do everything right.
Yeah, and is this more than about, liking things a certain way, or doing well at work, colours, your tea, that sort of thing? Is it more than that?
Oh, absolutely, Katie. It can really cause a lot of psychological problems. Perfectionism is when you put your self-worth into your achievements. So, for example, at work, the smallest mistake you make, maybe in a report, or not getting the job you applied for, or making a little mistake on a presentation, and your whole world collapses. That you start telling yourself you're worthless, you are stupid, you are not good enough, or you're a failure. So you put in terms of I am, instead of, oh, it's about the report, there was a mistake in the report, or didn't get the job, but you doom yourself to be an idiot, or worthless, or not good enough, or a failure.
Yeah, that's really, really tough. I mean, how can we stop ourselves doing that if someone's listening and thinking, yes, that is absolutely me? How do you help? How do you work with people?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Perfectionism, people don't often know that they are suffering from perfectionism, because it can affect you in terms of OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, or social situations where you think you should be the best entertainer, or that you should always be successful, or you should always get the best results at your exams, and so on. The thing is, most importantly, to be aware of it.
Okay.
When you're calling yourself, when this critical inner voice constantly telling you negative feedback about yourself.
Okay, so it's about catching it, and then is it about, I don't know, something as simple as saying to ourselves, no, you're doing it, we're not going to do this now. It's so hard, isn't it?
It's, well, I would say that catching it is really the first step. Being aware of it is the first step. What's going on, just going, oh, I know what's happening here with my thoughts. And if you have been doing it for a long, long time, what you practice grows stronger. So being aware of that too. And another thing is really self-kindness. If you're speaking to yourself in a way that you would never speak to your loved one, or never speak to your child. Parenthood is, again, one of the perfectionism areas people beat themselves up about. If you would never speak that way to your loved one or to your best friend, then it's not okay to speak yourself that way, even if it's your inner voice. So just turning that very unkind, harsh voice into, actually, I wouldn't speak like that to my best friend. So perhaps it's okay to do my best, and that's good enough. And if it's not perfect result, I can learn from it and grow from it.
Yes, I love that bit of advice. If you wouldn't say it to your best friend, don't say it to yourself. It's so helpful. Speaking of relationships, though, how can perfectionism show up negatively in our relationships?
Well, it can be about what we are expecting of how a relationship should be, how the perfect relationship should look like, should feel like, and what I should be doing and what my partner should be doing. He should be texting me straight away. He should be getting back to me. He should be bringing me flowers. He should do this. He should do that. And I think that the biggest, most important thing I can say here is it's all about our expectations from ourselves, from others, and from what we think others are expecting of us. And the reality and the difference between is our suffering.
I see, because I guess there are some relationships where actually, yes, they should be buying you flowers and treating you better, but it's about differentiating when it's perfectionism and when it's real life.
Yeah, it's, because you and your partner have different love languages, you need to kind of learn that first. What love languages do we speak? And how can we work together to make this relationship a happy place for both of us? Is it your ego speaking about what you should do when you make a request from him or her? Is it about him becoming his better self? Or is it for you? It's about your ego, because that's how you want to be loved.
Okay, this is super interesting, Eileen. Thank you so much. Stick around, if you will, because I'd love to ask about how you got into this and specialising in this. But we're going to take a pause for some music. If that's all good, we're going to play some Teddy Swim. Well, we're in the middle of Ask the Expert. It's the part of the show where we hear from people who know their trade absolutely inside out, and we learn a little bit of something as well. Today, I'm joined by Eileen Webb, a licensed psychologist who specialises in perfectionism. Hi again, Eileen.
Hello, hi again, Katie.
How did you come to specialise in perfectionism?
You see, when I was doing my postgraduate in cognitive behavioral therapy, perfectionism is not actually in the book, in the American Psychological Society's DSM for diagnosis. But I have noticed that there are a lot of issues where perfectionism is luring inside. For example, with OCD, when people are checking and rechecking and checking again, it's because they want it to be perfect. They want to send that email with no mistakes, and they end up being exhausted. Or they want the perfect body image to feel good about themselves. Even if they put a tiny bit of weight on, it's frustrating, and they beat themselves up over it. Or in social situations, if they're not the best entertainer, if they're not just talking to people and making up conversations, then they beat themselves up again because they feel stupid, they feel they're not good enough. And it's all parts of perfectionism, trying to meet those incredibly impossible standards that you put upon yourself or others, which is impossible to reach. And when you occasionally reach them, then you dismiss it. You just go, nah, anyone can do it, no big deal. So you don't even celebrate.
Yeah, oh gosh, that resonates, yeah.
You don't even celebrate your successes.
Yeah. Oh, goodness me. A lot of it is resonating, Eileen. And tell us about your book. What did you learn while you wrote that?
Oh, I have just been breathing perfectionism. I was waking up with it, I was going to bed with it, I was dreaming about it, and I am really, really pleased with how it came out. And some people, they read it and they say, oh my God, I thought perfectionism were for perfect people who don't exist, obviously. But we look at the successful people with great families and children and we think, oh, what a perfect life they have. And in fact, it doesn't exist. They do have their stories, but perfectionism is a lot about your self-worth and your self-esteem.
Yes, let's talk about self-worth, because the book is called Perfectly Imperfect, Cultivating Your Self-Worth in a Demanding World.
Yeah.
What do you mean by self-worth? How can we measure it? How do we achieve it? Tell us more.
The thing is, just by being born, just by being you, you are unique. I think the scientists have found out it's about 1 in 400 trillion chance that you were actually born, that we each were born. The fact that our parents got together and their parents got together and their parents got together, and all the possibilities, out of all the possibilities, you were born makes you unique to start with. And you are worthy as a human, exactly as you are, just by being your authentic self, just by being you, but accepting yourself with your flaws and your strengths and your beauties, and perhaps what you don't feel is so beautiful, with all of it as a whole package, is about your self-esteem and your self-worth. It is built from inside out. And if we keep looking for it and try to gain it from outside sources, it will always be a roller coaster journey.
Yes, I get you. Such fascinating work. Thank you for telling us more about it. If people want to find out more about you, I know you've got your book, you've got a podcast as well. Where is the best place for people to go, Eileen?
Yes, my podcast is really easy to remember. I'm a perfectionist, get me out of here. And
Brilliant.
My website is mindandmood.co.uk, and of course they can find my book on Amazon, and anyone is always welcome. I'm always present. I always answer any inquiries really quickly, because I'm here to help people thrive and not just survive.
Love that. Thank you so much. Super inspiring stuff. That is Eileen Webb, a licensed psychologist who specialises in perfectionism.